Hey everyone, here's another Comic Clerks video. I'm here to talk to you about Supergirl, the pilot episode. And this video will contain spoilers, so I'm just letting you know beforehand. So we start the pilot episode with Kara telling her story. And if you don't know Superman or Supergirl's story, she kind of gives a brief description of it on how she came to Earth and how it goes down in the show. And Kara Zor-El was sent after Kal-El or Clark Kent to protect him, pretty much. And she gives her goodbyes to her parents, and they explain to her the effects that the sun will have on her. And while she was escaping Krypton, while it was exploding, sent a shockwave, that knocked her into the Phantom Zone. If you don't know what the Phantom Zone is, it's pretty much a prison for all Krypton's criminals. And in the Phantom Zone, time doesn't pass. So Kara was there for 24 years. When she finally somehow made it to Earth, still as a 13-year-old. Where her cousin Clark, or Kal-El, found her and was already Superman. So he places Kara with a family called the Danvers, who had helped him with his abilities. And this family also had a daughter that, named Alex. So instead of being a superhero, she decided to blend in with, our society. And she works at Catco Worldwide, a media company built by Cat Grant. A guy bumps into her on the elevator and tells her about aliens and website, and she should check out a website that she should check out that he runs. She tells Win, that's this guy's name, that there is no such thing as aliens. This is when he asks her out, but she declines and tells him that she has a blind date. So, with her super hearing, it kicks in and she hears her boss coming up, and Kat is not happy because someone has used her elevator and it smells funky. So Kara brings her coffee and she gives Kara a bunch of tasks. Looks like the company is downsizing, and Kara voices her opinion and that the Daily Planet doesn't have to downsize. So Kat tells her that the Daily Planet has Superman. Okay, this whole episode, they're referring to Superman as him or he or, but I'm going to call him what he is. He's Superman. We all know it's Superman. So Superman covers, the Daily Planet's cover 54% of the time. And if Kara doesn't want them to downsize, she has to find Kat a superhero, pretty much. So Kara goes to the new art director and tells him, Kat doesn't like to wait on her art, and he tells Kara that she can wait, and tells her if Kat wants, it's so bad right now, she can fire him on the first day. Kara noticed a picture of her cousin, and the art director says Superman posed for that one. Kara figures out that he's Jimmy Olsen, but he doesn't like to be called Jimmy, he likes to be called James. So Jimmy is reserved for the big guy and his mom. But I'm going to call him Jimmy. He's Jimmy Olsen. And he gives Kara the painting the artwork that he did. And she introduces herself as Kara Danvers. And Jimmy tells her that she looks like Superman where her glasses are. And she laughs and leaves with the layouts. So at Kara's apartment, her sister shows up to help her with her blind date while she tells her how her job sucks, and Alex tells her that she wanted to be normal, having a crappy job, crappy boss, and nothing to wear is normal. So Kara tells her that she is not normal and she has all of Superman's powers and all that. And Alex tells her life isn't so bad and tells Kara to pick out something. Alex then chooses something blue for her and tells her that blue is her color. Of course blue is her color. So on Kara's date, the guy that she was supposed to go on a blind date with. This guy ditches her pretty much. He says he got a phone call and he walks out. That's when she notices on the news that her sister had a plane to catch that earlier that night before she came to help her, and she was on that plane, and that plane was crashing. So Kara decides that she's gonna go rescue her sister. So she runs outside and uses her x-ray vision to look through the plane to see if her sister's on there. Then she tries to fly, and after a few attempts she gets in the air. And she grabs the plane and tries to lift it, but, they're headed for a bridge. And she turns the plane and gets it through the bridge, saving the passengers on board. And everyone on the plane tries to get a shot of the woman that saved them. This is when she takes off and fly away. So she's at home watching the news where they're calling her a guardian angel or a human wrecking ball because of all of the destruction. This is when Alex shows up, and Kara's excited to see her and ask her, if she's okay. Alex says she needs a drink, and Kara's like, yeah, they need to celebrate. She just saved them. And she's telling her sister how she almost forgot the feeling of flying. But Alex is upset that she exposed herself, and she can't take that back. So Kara tells her that she always wanted, to help people. But Alex wants to know what will happen if somebody figures out who she is. And she tells his sister that it's not safe to do anything like that. This is when Kara tells her sister, that she's going to bed because she just carried a plane on her back. She's really disappointed that her sister wasn't excited for her. This is when we go to Catco, and the whole place is going crazy over Kara's plane stunt. Wind is wondering why Metropolis gets Superman, and they get some rookie hero who doesn't even have a suit. So in a meeting with Kat, she is wondering why her team doesn't have any exclusive on the flight or on this new superhero. And she asks Jimmy if there could be any connection between him and her. And he says if they're anything alike, she'll be back because they are heroes at heart, while he's looking at Kara. So Kat wants to feature her and tells her the team to go find her something. And Kara goes and gets Win, and she tells him to come to the roof. So they go to the roof, and she has a secret to tell him because she wants someone to be excited for her. He thinks she is a lesbian for not being interested in him. All those rejections is because she was a lesbian. She denies that and tells him she's the woman who saves the plane. He thinks this is hilarious. This is some big joke she tries to play on him. This is when she walks right off the ledge and he runs after her, but she flies back up, proving that she's the girl who saved the plane. This is when we cut to a diner, and there's a guy, he's watching this news story about Kara, and you can see him digging into the counter, and he goes off to his truck, and looks like the container to his truck is not a container, and he takes off his hat, and he has ridges all over his head, and a screen pops up in the trailer, and they call him Vartox. Looks like he was behind the plane exploding, and they put together who Kara is, and she will pay for her mother's debts. This is when we get back to Win and Kara, and they're trying out costumes for her. So she asks us Win where's her cape, and Win says capes are lame, and he can tell her cousin that. Oh, wait a second, don't tell her cousin that. So Win hacks into the NCPD so he can find Kara some crime to fight, and there's a car chase, and she heads out for the car chase, and while chasing, she slams straight into the ground. So back at her place, Win says a cape is a good idea because it will help with aerodynamics. So why didn't he think of that? So next, at a bank robbery, Kara shows up, stops the robbers, but her cape is, filled with holes from all the gunshots. And Wynn decides her a new one, which is much sturdier. And she finally puts her coat of arms on the suit, the S or the L shield. This is when a fire is in progress, and Kara heads out, and while in the air, she is shot by green darts and collapses. So she wakes up on a table and tries to get away. The guy tells her that her cuffs are made of low-grade kryptonite, a mineral from her home planet that weakens her. And we find out his name is Hank Henshaw, and he introduces Agent Danvers, her sister. And Hank welcomes her to the DEO, the Department of Extra-Normal Operations, and they monitor for extraterrestrials' presence and invasions. Seems like Kara's ship is what caused the DEO to be formed, because her ship coming from the Phantom Zone brought Fort Rise, a maximum security prison of aliens. As I told you earlier, the Phantom Zone is a prison for, Krypton aliens, and it looks like all the convicts escaped on Earth and have been hidden for about a decade until now. So Kara wants to help, but Hank isn't too sure because of how easily they took her down, and he tells her if she wants to help, to go back and get Cat's coffee. Her sister tries to apologize that she wanted to tell her, and Kara is upset that she didn't tell her, and she doesn't think it's not a coincidence that she has that job, her being an alien and all that, her sister being on an alien team for stopping aliens, and she leaves all angry, and Hank tells Alex that her sister is dangerous. Back at Catco, it looks like Cat has named Kara Supergirl. And Kara is upset with that name and voices it to Cat. She thinks the name of a female superhero should be Superwoman, because Supergirl would minimize her importance. And Cat asks Kara what's wrong with Supergirl. And she tells her that she doesn't see Supergirl as anything other than excellent, and asks her, if she doesn't see it as anything excellent, why shouldn't she pretty much, fire her right then and there? So this is when Jimmy comes in for the save and tells her that Kara has something on the robbery, and saying that she has a source who had a clean image of Supergirl stopping the robbery, pretty much saving, Kara's job right there. So she yells at Jimmy for saving her, and this is when she hears a transmission. It looks like Vartox is calling her out. So, Supergirl, Kara, she decides that she's going to head out, and looks like Vartox picked a spot lined with lead, and she can't find him with her x-ray vision. This is when Vartox comes up, sucker punches her, tells her, that on his planet, females, they bow before males, and telling her she looks like Allura, her mother, and tells her that her mother was their judge, and jury, and it was the one that put them all in the prison, and since they can't kill Allura, then Kara will have to do. So Kara charges him and sends him through a wall, and Vartox gets back up and tosses her into the power plant, and tells her that just because she wears that symbol doesn't make her Superman or him, and fighting him would be an honor. So fighting Superman would be an honor, Supergirl is child play, and fighting her is just pretty much exercise for him. So, which looks like to be pretty much true, because Vartox is just throwing her around like a rag doll, and Vartox throws his axe at her, which cuts her, and tells her, now she knows what it's like to bleed. We all, we know that line, we've been seeing that, on all the social media and that trailer we saw. So we all know that line. This is when Kara is saved by the DEO, and they start firing at Vartox, who decides he's going to get out of there at this point in time. This is when we get back to the DEO, and they're removing a piece of the axe from Kara's skin. And Kara asks Alex, did she know about her mother? And Alex says yes. And that's why she didn't want her going out there wearing that symbol, because the Fort Ross escapees will be after her for revenge. And Kara says her sister was right and that the world doesn't need her, and leaves. We get to Kara's apartment, and Alex shows up and tells her before Kara came into her life, she was the star. And then when Kara came along, she wasn't anymore. And when she decided not to use her power, she was happy because it gave her a chance to shine. But now she wants her sister to fly and she wants her sister to shine with her pretty much. And she brings Kara something from her mother that was in the ship. And it plays a message of Allura telling Kara to find her own path and to always be true to herself. Kara asks Alex what do they do now, and she tells Kara to change. So at the DEO, Alex vouches for Kara to help the DEO. She wants pretty much, if the DEO wanted any more of Alex's help, they had to accept her sister. So the computer picks up Vartox's, I don't know why I said Alex's. The computer picks up Vartox's axe, and Supergirl convinces Hank to let her go out there, and he agrees. So Supergirl heads out there. She flies right in front of Vartox's trucks, and she slams right into it, sending him flying straight out of the truck. And they start fighting, and Hank says she's not strong enough. And Alex says why, because she's a girl. I don't know how that point is even important right there. She has the same powers as her cousin. So Alex tells Hank that the axe is the key to winning, and if it gets hot enough, it'll explode. So Vartox is beating Supergirl pretty much into the pavement when he decides to use his axe, and she uses her heat vision on it, heating it up until it explodes. Vartox tells her that she has no idea what's coming for her, and this is when he stabs himself with a piece of his axe, pretty much killing himself right then and there. So the DEO is celebrating on their win, and Alex asks Hank that they didn't recruit her just for her sister. And he tells her, yeah, they did recruit her for her sister, but that's not the reason she gets to stay. And, Alex is really happy about that. So we get to Catco, and Wynn walks up to her and asks her about, he asks her that there's some comments on his site about a woman and a reptilian man boxing match in the desert, and she says she'll tell him next time they meet up, and he's excited. The super friends are back. She tells him not to call them that. Not to call them that at all. So she runs into Jimmy, and she asks him to lunch, and he tells her she must be hungry after fighting all the aliens. And she meets him on the roof and accuses him of knowing this whole time, and that he told him, and it looks like he sent Jimmy there to look out for her, telling her that he wanted Kara to choose being a superhero for herself. And Jimmy gives her a box with his blanket inside of it, saying that this cape won't shred, then tells her, doesn't she have a city to protect? Up, and away. They're just dropping all kinds of, Superman, innuendo in this episode. So we get to, the last ending of, the last scene of this episode, and looks like the inmates of Ross are talking about Vartox killing himself, which is typical of his race, I guess. And it looks like the woman, that's talking is Kara's aunt. And one of the inmates says Kara will be less of a force to deal with than her cousin. And she says if she is anything like her mother, you know, she will be just as formidable as her cousin. And she says that since she couldn't lead Krypton, but she will lead Earth. And, you know, they're not going to get in her way at all. And she wants Kara killed. And the inmate asks her if, you know, if she's sure that she wants them to kill Kara because that's her blood. And she is sure because no one can stand in her way, not even her niece. So I guess her nephew can't stand in her way either. Or maybe, you know, she was married into the family, so Clark's not her nephew. I don't know, but, you know, they're the only Kryptonians left, so I'm guessing that is her nephew. But I'm guessing they're trying to stay as far away from Superman as possible, I guess. So they're not trying to hop over into his world. I don't know how you're not gonna do that at all. But anyways, that was the end of this episode, you guys. Tell me what you enjoyed about it or didn't like about it in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a great day. See you guys.